Sri Ram says, the Atma is all blissful. Why should you think that sorrow exists in the Atma? It is because of ignorance that we feel that sorrow exists in Atma. With the dawn of knowledge, this notion vanishes. So here, Sri Ram is saying something immensely significant. That at the level of soul, we are sheer bliss, we are sheer delight. We are sheer delightful energy. The problem is that we think that our real nature is the mind. But over here, he's not talking about the mind. He's talking about something far deeper. Mind experiences sorrow, mind experiences happiness and so on. But the soul itself, the Atma, the basic consciousness of ourself is just pure bliss. It is only when we think that the mind is Atma, is when we feel that we are suffering. But at the level of soul, you are never experiencing sorrow. The soul is pristine. And when you refer to yourself as a person of soul, as a person who is, when you understand yourself as a person who is comprised primarily of soul, that the mind is peripheral to that, then you realize that actually there's nothing to grieve for in life. Actually, there's nothing to fear. Actually, there's nothing to sorrow for. And that gives you an immediate feeling of liberation. So that is the first realization. It is a very Upanishadic sort of a statement. It is a very Vedantic statement. But it only comes by realizing that you are not the mind. That you are at your basic self, a soul, a pure consciousness. That which is comprised of the ultimate entity of the consciousness, which procreates this entire universe, which makes this entire existence, this entire cosmos come into being. So it's a question of identification with the greater truth of yourself and not seeing yourself as a body-mind complex. And once you do that, you realize what it means to really go into spirituality, to really go into mysticism. You see, the whole failure of religion has been that it's made us identify with certain rituals, certain norms and so on. But it's not really taken us back to the realization of our true selves, to the realization of us as a soulful self. It's made us identify with certain norms of the religion. It's made us, in fact, mentally dependent upon the symbols of its history, its culture, and so on. And doing that, it's taken us farther and farther away from the realization of ourselves as a soulful being, as primarily consisting just of soul, with the periphery of it being the mind-body. So we've taken the mind-body complex to be primary and the soul to be something otherworldly. But truly, in the Vedantic vision, in the vision that Sri Ram is talking about, in the meditative vision, you are nothing but soul. Everything else can take a back seat. The energy of the soul is your primal energy. It is your fundamental energy. Don't confuse yourself with the outer energies of body-mind. If you do that, then life can never be a truly beautiful phenomenon because you'll be continually identifying with the changing circumstances of body, mind, and the material sphere. But if you identify with the soulful part of your being, then you're touching the very core of creation itself. Then you're going to the very pith, the very marrow, the very depth of what bliss is, the depth of what existence itself is. And there you find at that level that you are not separate from the ocean. You only thought that you're separate from the ocean. You're just a wave in the ocean. The wave is never separate from the ocean. It crashes back into the ocean. So that's the self. It is a wave in the ocean of existence. Never separate from the ocean itself. Part of that great vastness. And when you understand yourself as part of that great vastness, you realize that there's no need to struggle, there's no need to grieve, there's no need to feel sorrowful, there's no need to feel afraid or guilty, and so on and so forth. You are as worthy as the highest being. You are as worthy as the highest Rishi. You're as worthy as the highest Buddha. You're as worthy as the highest person of samadhi or realization for universal gifts, universal compassion, universal love, universal potential realization and harmony, and so on. And that is the very basis of mystical self consciousness. That is the very basis of understanding what it means to live a spiritually realized and successful life. So the very energies of your being become transformed, and that is the alchemy, that is the Rasayan that ancient Indian Sanatan Dharma was talking about. That is the basic transformation you have to bring about within you. This question of harmony between yourself and life can only happen when you bring that flame, that candle of awareness, that yes, you can see that yes, it is this flame of soul, this flame of pure consciousness within me that is real. Everything else is changing. It is this flame which is real, it is this flame which is blissful, it is this flame which gives me all the courage that I need to do what I need to do. That way you're never frustrated in life. That way you realize the authoritative truth of being. You realize the authoritative truth of spiritual realization, and you transcend, you move towards a transcendence of mind. And meditation is nothing but transcendence of mind. Transcendence of mind is what? It doesn't mean you stopped using your mind. No, you use your mind for practical purposes. But you transcend the delusions of the mind, the imaginings of the mind, the fears of the mind, and so on. And that way you move from being degraded in your imagination, or rather dwelling upon degraded thoughts, as in, thoughts which make you anxious, thoughts which make you fearful, and so on, and look to the full extent of your greater energy. And the greater energy is what? The energy of your soul. Then you realize that what the climate of mystical realization, the climate of spiritual realization is, that is simply one where you're able to sing your own song from the very heart, the very core of your being. From the very core of your being, you feel immensely rigorous. You feel immensely vigorous. You feel immensely alive. You feel immensely as if the energy has spread into every pore of your being. So start from the innermost, that is your soul, and let the energy spread into your outer being. Let the energy spread into your body, into your mind, into your very psyche. And so when you identify with the innermost part of yourself, its energy vibrates into all your outer activities, whatever they may be. And that gives true confidence. That gives you a true glow, a spiritual glow. That's why they say spiritually realized people have a inner glow, what we can call the inner glow, the inner charisma. They don't need to outwardly do anything. There is an inner glow from deep within them, which seems to light up all the outer action of their life, their relationships, their interactions with people. They become charismatic, which is why, through history, realized people have been drawn with a halo around their head. What is this halo? This halo simply means that at the deepest level of their selves, they have seen that they are pure soul consciousness. And that very vibe, that very identification with the deepest part has kind of lit up, so to speak, their outward being also, the way they are perceived in the world also. They look almost as if they carry something of the greater within them, and that greater within them is manifesting through their very presence. So their very presence becomes charismatic, magnetic, and so on. And that is truly the power of identification with soul consciousness. So identify with your soul consciousness more and more, and then you start becoming more and more blissful. That happens as a spontaneous result, as a byproduct. Identify with the center of your being, not with the perimeter of your being. So really, Sri Ram is saying that it's all very foolish to think that sorrow is your true nature. No, the soul does not feel sorrow. The very essence of life, at the very basis of life and at the very basis of spirituality, is the fact which Sri Ram is saying is a fact, is that it is comprised of bliss. And that is the old Vedantic view, that all things are comprised of the highest Ananda. And if you understand this, your every aspect of your life, material, spiritual, etc., starts becoming lit up with this Ananda. And when that happens, life automatically moves towards a realization, towards a fulfillment, towards a contentment, towards a greater quality of being, a splendor. So, to bring this truly splendid aspects of life into yourself, know the soul as pure bliss and nothing else.